Welcome to the Pencil Bob channel. I hope you enjoy my stories. Please like and subscribe, and hit that notification icon so you never miss out. Now on with the stories.
What started as a typical Saturday afternoon at the mall quickly turned into an unforgettable spectacle that left me in disbelief. I had gone there to do some shopping at the large downtown shopping center, where the usual buzz of activity filled the air. Families strolled with their children in strollers, teenagers gathered in groups, and shoppers navigated the busy aisles, bags in hand, completely unaware of the chaos that was about to unfold. As I was walking past the food court, I noticed a woman pushing a special type of powered wheelchair. The person sitting in it appeared to have Down syndrome and seemed unable to walk properly. They were quietly making their way through the mall, minding their own business. Suddenly, this lady with a bobbed haircut and an expensive-looking outfit stormed up to them. She had this look on her face like she just smelled something awful. I couldn't help but stare as she started talking to the woman with the wheelchair. "You've had that chair long enough," she snapped, her voice dripping with entitlement and impatience. Her eyes narrowed as she glared at the woman pushing the wheelchair, her posture rigid and demanding. The air around them seemed to crackle with tension as nearby shoppers paused, sensing the brewing confrontation. "I want it now," she continued, her tone growing sharper and more insistent. Her fingers twitched as if ready to seize the chair at any moment, completely disregarding the young woman sitting in it and the clear necessity of the mobility aid. The absurdity of her demand hung in the air, leaving everyone around them in stunned silence, unsure of how to react to such blatant selfishness. The woman pushing the wheelchair looked confused. "I'm sorry, but this is our chair. We brought it from home. The mall might have some mobility scooters you can use if you need one." That's when things really went off the rails. The fancy lady's demeanor shifted from demanding to outright hysterical as she began screaming at the top of her lungs, her voice echoing through the mall. "How dare you? I am not handicapped," she bellowed, her face flushing with anger. "There's nothing wrong with me. I just don't want to walk anymore. So give me the chair." Her outburst was so loud and unexpected that it drew even more attention from the surrounding shoppers, who stopped in their tracks to witness the unfolding drama. Her words were a jarring mix of entitlement and irrationality, and the sheer volume of her tirade created a scene that felt surreal, almost theatrical, as if it were a performance meant to shock and intimidate. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Who acts like this?" The woman with the wheelchair tried to explain again that it belonged to them and they owned it, but the crazy lady wasn't having any of it. Before anyone could react, she reached over and yanked the young woman with Down syndrome right out of the chair. The poor girl fell to the ground hard, and I heard her cry out in pain. By this point, a crowd had started to form around them, and people were pulling out their phones to record what was happening. The mother of the girl who'd been pulled from the chair looked absolutely furious. She lunged at the crazy lady, who had already plopped herself down in the wheelchair like she owned it. The mom started trying to pull her out while also attempting to help her daughter back into the chair. That's when things got even uglier. The crazy lady's rage escalated to physical violence as she balled up her fist and, with a swift and brutal motion, punched the mom right in the face. The impact was audible, a sickening thud that caused a collective gasp to rise from the crowd of onlookers. The shock of the assault rippled through the gathering, and the atmosphere shifted from tense to outright alarmed. Someone in the crowd immediately yelled for security, their voice urgent and panicked, as people began to realize just how serious the situation had become. The scene was chaotic, with concerned murmurs and the frantic movements of those trying to get a better view or distance themselves from the violence. Within seconds, 2 mall security guards came running over. They tried to grab the woman in the fancy clothes, but she started fighting with them too. She was swinging her designer purse around like a weapon, hitting anyone who got close to her. Just when I thought things couldn't get any crazier, I spotted 2 police officers walking through the mall. Someone must have alerted them because they came running over to the scene. The cops tried to calm everyone down, but Karen was having none of it. She kept screaming about how the wheelchair belonged to her now and everyone else was trying to steal it. She was swinging that purse at the guards and even the police officers. I saw one of the cops pull out his taser and issue a stern warning for her to stop, his voice carrying a tone of authority and urgency. She, however, was beyond reason, completely ignoring his command and taking another wild swing with her purse. In that split second, the officer made the decision to act, firing the taser with precision. The electrical charge hit her, and she went down like a sack of potatoes, her body crumpling to the ground in an instant. The suddenness of her collapse was both shocking and a relief to the crowd, who had been watching the escalating chaos with bated breath. The scene shifted rapidly from frantic movement to a tense stillness as everyone processed what had just occurred. While one officer was dealing with her, the other went over to talk to the mom and daughter. I edged closer so I could hear what was being said. The cop looked absolutely livid when he found out that the crazy lady had physically thrown the girl with Down syndrome out of her own wheelchair. They put handcuffs on the woman once the taser wore off, and I overheard them reading her rights. Apparently, she was being charged with assault, attempted theft, resisting arrest, and a bunch of other things. One of the officers mentioned something about this not being her first offense, so it sounded like she might be facing some serious jail time. The whole incident probably only lasted about 15 minutes, but it felt like hours. I've never seen anything like it in my life. The entitlement and sheer insanity of that woman were off the charts. Who tries to steal a wheelchair from someone who actually needs it? As they led her away, her defiance remained unbroken, her voice still carrying through the mall despite her recent tasing. She continued her tirade, yelling about the perceived unfairness of the situation, her words a mix of entitlement and shocking cruelty. The venom in her voice intensified as she spewed out that she deserved the chair more than some retard, her use of such a derogatory term causing visible winces among those within earshot. The sheer callousness of her language sent a wave of disgust through the onlookers, many of whom looked physically ill at hearing such hateful words. Her continued outburst, even in the face of arrest, painted a disturbing picture of a person so consumed by her own perceived importance that she had lost all sense of basic human decency. The mom and daughter were both pretty shaken up. Paramedics arrived to check them out, and it looked like the girl might have hurt her arm when she was thrown to the ground. I hope she's okay. People in the crowd were talking about how they'd seen the crazy lady around the mall before, always causing trouble and being rude to store employees. Apparently, she thought she was some kind of VIP and deserved special treatment everywhere she went. I stuck around for a while, giving my contact information to the police in case they needed a witness statement. The officer I talked to said they'd probably be in touch since there were so many charges being filed. As things started to calm down and the crowd dispersed, I couldn't stop thinking about what I'd just seen. It's hard to imagine how someone could be so entitled and cruel. That poor girl and her mom were just trying to enjoy a day at the mall like anyone else. I hope that woman gets the help she clearly needs, but I also hope she faces serious consequences for her actions. You can't just go around assaulting people and trying to steal their medical equipment. The world doesn't revolve around you, no matter how fancy your clothes are or how important you think you are. The whole incident left me feeling drained and a little depressed about humanity. But then I remembered how quickly people in the crowd had jumped in to help and how the security guards and police had responded so fast. Maybe there's still some good in the world after all. I ended up abandoning my shopping plans and heading home. I needed some time to process everything I'd seen. As I drove home, I couldn't help but feel grateful for my own health and mobility. It's something I often take for granted, but after witnessing that woman's cruelty, I have a new appreciation for it. I also felt a deep admiration for the mom and her daughter. Despite the awful situation they'd been put in, they handled it with as much grace as possible. I hope they're able to put this behind them and not let it ruin their future mall trips. As for the crazy lady, well, I have a feeling we'll be seeing her face on the local news tonight. I just hope this is the wake-up call she needs to change her behavior. Nobody should have to deal with that kind of entitlement and aggression, especially not someone who's already facing challenges in life. It's been a few hours now, and I'm still replaying the scene in my head. I keep wondering if there was something more I could have done to help. Maybe I should have stepped in sooner or tried to reason with the woman before things escalated. But in the heat of the moment, it's hard to know what the right move is. I've decided to write down everything I remember about the incident, just in case the police need more details later. It's amazing how many little things you notice in a situation like that, the exact words people used, the expressions on their faces, even the way the crazy lady's expensive jewelry jangled as she swung her purse around. One thing's for sure, I'll never look at a Karen haircut the same way again. It's sad that a hairstyle has become associated with such negative behavior. But after today, I can see why. That woman was the living embodiment of every entitled Karen stereotype out there. As I sit here writing this all down, I find myself hoping that the mall will implement some new security measures. Maybe they need more guards on duty or better training for dealing with aggressive customers. Anything to prevent something like this from happening again. I also hope the other shoppers who witnessed the incident will speak up if they're contacted by the police. It's important that there are consequences for this kind of behavior. Too often, people like that get away with it because witnesses don't want to get involved. Tomorrow, I think I'll go back to the mall and check on the stores near where it happened. I want to make sure the employees are okay and see if there's anything I can do to help. Maybe I'll even see if I can find out which store that poor girl and her mom were headed to. It would be nice to buy them a little gift or something, just to show that not everyone in the world is as cruel as that woman was. This whole experience has been a stark reminder of how quickly things can go wrong and how important it is to stand up for what's right. I may not have been directly involved in the incident, but I feel like I have a responsibility now to do what I can to prevent anything like this from happening again. As I finish writing this all down, I'm left with a mix of emotions: anger at the entitled woman, sympathy for the victims, and a renewed determination to be a force for good in the world. It's easy to feel helpless in the face of such blatant cruelty, but I refuse to let this experience make me cynical. Instead, I'm going to use it as motivation to be kinder, more aware, and more willing to stand up for others. Who knows? Maybe the next time I'm at the mall, I'll be the one who steps in to help someone in need. And maybe, just maybe, that small act of kindness will be enough to counteract some of the negativity in the world. One can only hope.
I would like to thank you for watching the video to the end. To encourage us to make more videos, please like, subscribe, comment, as well as share. Check out this other video if you haven't already.